is a very difficult subject. Questioning the cognitive ability of a president is very different from questioning his policies. But for the last 7 months, the president's performance has given cause for concern. During Sunday's press conference, he was asked about it directly. Roll tape.
A majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
I haven't seen that poll.
All right. Laughed it off, shook his head, but again yesterday, he'd stumbled with the teleprompter, forgot the name of a senior official, seemed unfocused as he plowed through a very long script. He gets things wrong, he seems tired, he seems out of touch. Joe Biden was elected on competence and stability. He's not coming through with either. Biden seemed unaware of the Kabul crisis. His handlers protected him from the media, but that made him look weak. He didn't call world leaders until Fox's Bret Baier prodded him. He was factually wrong on several issues, including the criticism of our allies. He acted as though it was all news to him. This is the time for strong and credible leadership. We're not seeing it. A tired president stumbles, forgets, loses focus. The vice president laughs all too frequently and, frankly, seems out of her depth. Yeah, it is difficult to talk about time.
In the United States, opinion polls are starting to turn on Joe Biden, specifically on the issue of Afghanistan and the way that he led that withdrawal. A CBS poll says 53% of people disagree. Even bigger and an even leftier part of the media landscape, that being NBC, says 60%. When asked about it today, the president was, of course, Swampy Joe.
The poll out today shows Americans wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan, but they disapprove of the way you've handled it. The poll also found that based in part on what's transpired in the last week, the majority of Americans, forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
I haven't seen that poll.
It's out there from CBS this morning. What would you say to those Americans who no longer believe that?
Look, I had a basic decision to make.
What about the reporters who've spent the past 4 years hurling every brick they possibly could at Donald Trump, saying everything, but apologies, I'm just the messenger, is what they're saying to the man that they would desperately like to pretend isn't stuffing up the way that he is constantly in the United States. And echoing in this narrative is, of course, the Biden Booster Network. Its chief media critic said this.
Describe the media's coverage this week as what?
Way over the top and unconnected to a perspective on the issue from the beginning.
Yeah, Swampy Joe, where he still gets the praise despite the fact that you saw what you saw out of Afghanistan in the past week or so. Because, of course, the lefty Jedi mind trick is this is not the president who's failing all the time.
Ed, fire away.
Yes, Mr. President, actually following up on Andrew's question, because the United States is now negotiating with the Taliban over airport access and such, do you now trust them? And then a question on the public response. A new poll out today shows Americans wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan, but they disapprove of the way you've handled it. The poll also found that based in part on what's transpired in the last week, a majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
I haven't seen that poll.
It's out there from CBS this morning. What would you say to those Americans who no longer believe that you're up to the job?
I had a basic decision to make. I either withdraw America from a 20-year war that, depending on whose analysis you accept, cost us $150 million a day for 20 years or $300 million a day for 20 years, who, and you know I carry this card with me every day, and who, in fact, where we lost 2,448 Americans dead and 20,722 wounded. Either increase the number of forces we keep there and keep that going, or I end the war. And I decided to end the war. As I said the other day, you know, the only reason we're in Afghanistan is this is the place from which bin Laden attacked the United States of America. Had this been in another Middle Eastern country where he could have easily have moved from, we would have never gone to Afghanistan. So the question is, when is the right time to leave? What are our national interests? Where do they lie? And the idea that
we're in a situation where we can not recognize that terrorism has metastasized around the world, and the need for us to focus on other parts of the world has created an even greater danger of an al-Qaeda-like operation beginning can't be ignored. And we are, as you well know, because you follow this, we are a number of places where we're doing that without permanent basing American forces there. So I think when this is over, the American people have a clear understanding of what I did, why we did it, and but look, that's the job. My job is to make judgments. My job is to make judgments no one else can or will make. I made them. I'm convinced I'm absolutely correct in not deciding to send more young women and men to war for a war that in fact is no longer warranted.
On the question of the Taliban, though, do you trust them now? Do you have to negotiate with them?
I don't trust anybody, including you. I love you, but there's not a lot of people I trust. Look, the Taliban has.
Taliban has to make a fundamental decision. Is the Taliban going to attempt to be able to unite and provide for the well-being of the people of Afghanistan, which no one group has ever done since before, dealing for hundreds of years? And if it does, it's going to need everything from additional help in terms of economic assistance, trade, and a whole range of things. The Taliban has said, we'll see whether they mean it or not. They're seeking legitimacy. They're seeking legitimacy to determine whether or not they will be recognized by other countries. They have told other countries as well as us they don't want us to move our diplomatic presence completely. But so all this is all just talk now. All just talk now. And so far, the Taliban has not taken action against U.S. forces. So far, they have, by and large, followed through on what they said in terms of allowing Americans to pass through and the like. And I'm sure they don't control all of their forces. It's a ragtag force. And so we'll see. We'll see whether or not what they say turns out to be true. But the bottom line is this, folks. Look, at the end of the day, if we didn't leave Afghanistan now, when do we leave? Another 10 years? Another 5 years? Another year? I'm not about to send your son or your daughter to fight in Afghanistan. I don't see where that is in our overwhelming interest. And the talk about how our interests are going to be impacted, let me tell you, you're sitting in Beijing or you're sitting in Moscow. Are you happy we left? They'd love nothing better for us to continue to be bogged down there, totally occupied with what's going on. So the idea, I think that history is going to record, this was the logical, rational, and right decision to make. So thank you all so very much.
Hey.
Welcome to DJ Ricky Friend, Y69 Project. Perform the SK